styles first. We have our headings blue, our paragraphs red, and our links orange. So say, for example, on this page, instead of our headings being blue, we want our headings to be green. Well, in order to change all our headings to green, all we would need to do is this. You know those style tags that I told you guys to take out before? Well, go ahead and throw those in again. Style, and of course, remember, type equals text CSS, and go ahead and put the ending style tag in there too. And now go ahead and write your CSS rule. So for example, if we wanted to change header ones, go ahead and change this to color green. And now check this out. Even though we have an external style sheet saying that our headers are supposed to be blue, we went ahead and we overrode that by throwing in this internal style tags in our web page right here. And now when we go ahead and refresh the website, instead of having blue headers, we now have green headers. So the point I'm trying to say is this. In general, this is like an outline of rules we have to follow, but anytime that we want to change a specific rule on our web page, we can just go ahead and throw those style tags in, and these styles will apply to only this web page and not the entire website. So for example, on this web page we change the headers to green, but for the rest of the web page they're going to be blue still. And that brings me to another point. The concept of cascading is this. You're going to get all your rules right here, just like you imported them, just like you typed them in directly there. And then later on, it's going to see, alright, actually, I want my headers to be green. And since this was the most recent rule, that's why they're green. So for example, if you went ahead and copied this and pasted it right here, you would have two header rules. The top one would say, make my headers blue, and later on it would say make my headers green. Well, how does CSS know what one you want to use? The way it determines what one you want to use is it looks at the most recent rule. So check this out. Maybe this will help clarify things. If I go ahead and copy this and paste it in at the top right there, let me give you a little space to work with. Check it out. Now we're saying, alright, make our headers green, but later on we're telling it to make our headers blue. So what happens when we save this, go to the index page and refresh? Our headers are now blue. So why are they blue now even though we have this style tag in this web page? It's because you told it to go green first, and then later on you told it to go blue. So since blue was the most recent, that's where it went. And again, if we copy this or cut it and make it green, since it's the most recent, it'll change it to green and leave the rest of your pages blue. So that is how you override styles. And again, you never actually want to put the style tags above the external style sheet, because the only reason you would have style tags is to override what's in the style sheet. So having any of these style tags above would be worthless. So anyways, the common practice of making web pages is this. Go ahead and import all the rules that you need before you start doing the nitty-gritty stuff. And then all the fine changes that you want to make, you want to put them in style tags, and these will give you all the custom differences for each web page. So anyways, that is how everyone always sets up their CSS in their web pages, and this gives you a lot of control to give your web pages exactly the look that you're looking for. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to be starting to talk about how to lay out our websites and make them look awesome. But for now, that's all you get. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys next video. What is going on, guys? It's Bucky, and welcome to your 36th XHTML and CSS tutorial. And in this tutorial, I'm going to be talking to you guys about something called positioning. So before, whenever we were making websites and we added like an image, and then a header, and then a paragraph, and then, you know, maybe some links or something, everything kind of appeared after one another. It kind of flowed together in a nice, neat order. I mean, your image knew automatically not to appear on top of your text to cover it up. And whenever you made a paragraph, it didn't just put them in a random location. It put it under whatever was there before, like under your header or under your image. So everything kind of flowed automatically, but while this is good if you're going for that, you know, kind of boring organized look, it didn't give you a whole lot of control over the layout and look of your website. So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you guys how to change all that using something called absolute positioning. Now, let's go ahead and look at an example right now. So I'm going to make two divs, or aka two boxes on the screen, and I'm going to show you guys how to move them around exactly where you want them. So let's go ahead and make a div with an ID of, I don't know, apples, and just go ahead and end that div. Let's add some text in it. I am the apple box. Isn't there a cereal like Apple Jacks? That's what I was thinking of. So let's go ahead and copy this and add another div with the ID blueberry, and just put like yo soy un blueberry. This can be a Mexican blueberry box. So anyways, go ahead and save this and see what we have on our screen so far. We have I am the apple box and yo soy un blueberry, the blueberry box. So in order to visualize these a little better, let's go ahead up in CSS and give them a border, actually, so they actually look like boxes. So go ahead and in your apples, let's add some rules to it. Border equals 2 pixels solid red, because apples are red. It might make it easier to tell. And let's see, in order to apply that absolute positioning, here's what you need to do. Type in the attribute position, and for the value type absolute. And now, well, it's better if I just show you what absolute positioning is. So anyways, just leave it like this. But anyways, since these are boxes, we need to give them a couple things. First of all, a width and a height, so CSS knows how wide and how tall to draw that border. And also a top and a left, or pretty much coordinates, so it knows where on the screen to draw the border. So width equals, I don't know, let's say 150 pixels. And height equals 175 pixels. That'll be good for this resolution. So now we need to say, where on the screen do you want to draw this box? Well, 30 pixels down from the top is good, and let's say right, in other words, 15 pixels from the left. So now let's go ahead and save this and see what we got. We got a red box, 2 pixels solid red. It's absolute, and the width is 150 by 175, and it's 30 pixels down from the top and 15 pixels from the right. So now you're saying, this is pretty cool, because now I can have my elements in boxes and I can move them anywhere I want around the screen. So for example, your boss comes in and he's like, Bucky, make this 100 more pixels to the right and some more pixels down. So you're saying, alright, now I can add 100 pixels to that, and instead of 30, put it at like 40 and save it. And bam, check it out. Move it over some and move it down some. Pretty cool. But now we're going to run into a problem, and that's this. It's not so much a problem as something that you just need to look out for. Go ahead and copy this. And let's see if this works. Go ahead and now let's make a box for blueberry. And let's first of all make that border blue so we can see what we're doing. And make the width, I mean, those are pretty good, so change this to 30 and, 15. Whoa, easy hoss. So now in our blueberry box, we have a blue border. The position is absolute still. The width and height are the same, but it's just at different coordinates. So now whenever we save this and refresh this, we see that something weird happens that didn't happen before. With absolute positioning basically says, alright, I'm going to give you complete control over where to place your elements, but I don't care if any other element is in my way. I don't care if any other box is in my way. If it is, I'm just going to overlap it, F it. I only care about myself. So while this is an excellent way to position elements on the screen exactly where you want them, you need to look out for a couple things. First of all, before, whenever we just made dumb old websites, everything was positioned nice and neatly. Now we run into the problem of things might having to bump into each other or overlapping. So whenever you're making your websites, you have to make sure don't overlap your stuff, or it's going to be hard to read. I mean, look at this is this would be pretty hard to read if we had two paragraphs in here and you overlap them and try to read them together. So anyways, whenever you're making a website, you have to watch out not to overlap your stuff right now, because even though we have control over exactly where things go, we have to watch out not to make them bump into each other. So anyways, it doesn't flow like other XHTML would just by default. And anyways, you guys can see what's going on. So this is basically absolute positioning. The idea that you can take an element and put it absolutely in a location no matter what else is in the way. So you're saying, alright, this is pretty cool. I'm just going to take all my elements and arrange them, make sure they don't overlap, and I'm just going to make a website like that. Well, before you just go and make an entire website out of absolute positioning, there are two other forms of positioning I want to teach you guys about. And when you use them together, it's going to give you a whole lot more control, and it's going to make your website so much better. So before you just go make a website with tons of boxes like this all over, stick with me for the next couple tutorials. I'm going to be teaching you about some different types of positioning, and trust me, you will thank me by the end of these tutorials. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys understand the concept of absolute positioning, and if you don't, then just stick with me in these next couple tutorials. You will. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. What is going on, guys? It's Bucky, and welcome back to your 37th XHTML and CSS tutorial. And in this tutorial, as promised, I'm going to be talking to you guys about a different kind of positioning, and that's called relative positioning. Now, relative positioning is kind of similar to absolute positioning, but it's also very different. So you're saying, how can it be similar and extremely different? But it is. So let me go ahead and show that to you guys. Let's go ahead and first make a couple paragraphs on the screen. So P, and just go ahead and like write first. Let me just go ahead and copy this. Make like 4 paragraphs or something. That'll be fine. First, second, third, and fourth. But give this third one an ID. Oops. I'm computer programming. In computer programming, you put =sign twice, and that's what I thought I was doing. So anyways, ID equals third. By the way, you guys should check out my computer programming tutorials. They're pretty cool. That's just a side note. But anyways, now for our third paragraph, let's first of all give it absolute positioning, because that's what we know already. So in order to do that, go ahead and make your ID third, and go ahead and give it a border of like, whoa, definitely spelled that wrong. Border 1 pixel solid green. That'll make it easy to see. And what else can we do? Position absolute. And now let's go ahead and move it top 60 pixels, and also left 30 pixels. I don't like my top and left to be the same. So anyways, if we go ahead and save this, what we're going to see is this. We're going to see 4 paragraphs on the screen, and then we're going to see that third paragraph move 60 pixels down from this top point right here and 30 pixels right, so somewhere right in there. So check it out. We have the first, second, third, and this third box right here from the top left corner of your screen is moved down 60 pixels and right 30 pixels, because that's what absolute positioning does. It takes this coordinate right here and it moves your box in relation to there. So let's go ahead and now, instead of absolute, type in relative and save this, and look how it changes. The box is now down more and over to the right the same. So you're saying, alright, what exactly is going on? Because this is kind of confusing. So instead of 60 pixels from the top, it's now a lot more. So why did this happen? Well, relative positioning is different than absolute positioning in the idea that instead of moving it absolutely from the top left point right here, it moves it in relation to where it would normally be. So instead of having the origin right here and moving 60 down 30 across, the origin is wherever it would be normally, which is somewhere right in here, and from that point it moves it 60 down and 30 across. So that's why it's actually more than 60 pixels down from the very top of your screen. Again, if I was to move this absolutely, it would be 60 pixels down from the top and 30 pixels over. But since I'm moving it relatively, it says, alright, you started out, well, let's go ahead and get rid of this, cut this. So you started out right here by default. So here is your starting point right here. And now you have this CSS rule that says I want to move this 60 pixels down from where I was relative and also 30 pixels over. So it's going to take it from right here, move it 60 down and 30 over. So that's why it ends up right here. So anyways, that's the difference between absolute and relative. Absolute moves it from the top left point on your screen, and relatives move it from where it was in relation to the rest. So now you can see that we come across another problem that it doesn't really help to, you might be saying, alright, I'm just going to make everything relative then instead of absolute because relative is better. Well, we come across this problem. You see, instead of just taking this piece out right here and continuing the flow where first, second, fourth, instead of just moving this fourth up and filling in the gap, we now have a space or a gap of where that box used to be right here. So with absolute, we came across the problem of things overlapping. And now relative, we come across the problem of whenever we take something out from the natural flow, we have a huge gap of where it used to be, and it doesn't look like anything really fits in there. So anyways, keep those in mind whenever you're using these two different types of positioning. And by the way, let me say this. People usually don't lay out a web page all absolute or all relative. This isn't like a choice where you choose one or the other. Yes, you can make an entire web page all absolute or all relative, but you usually use them in conjunction with one another. For example, you might have your outside box relative and every inside box inside that would be absolute. That is a common technique that people use. But anyways, I just want to, get that in your head, because in case you thought I was teaching you guys the different ways of laying out a website, don't think like that. Think, how can I use these techniques together in order to give my webpage the look that I need to achieve? So anyways, there is one last type of positioning that I'm going to be teaching you guys about, and then after that I'm going to show you guys how to tie everything together and give your website the exact look and feel that you guys want. And it's going to be awesome. You guys are going to be making beautiful websites in no time. So for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the upcoming videos. What is up, everybody? Welcome to your 38th tutorial. I'm going to do this entire tutorial singing a song. No, actually I'm not. But anyways, in this tutorial we're going to be going over something called fixed positioning. It's the last positioning that we have to cover, and fixed positioning is actually a lot like absolute positioning in the idea that you're going to have a coordinate in your top left point on your screen, and just like absolute positioning, it's going to move the element absolutely where it is. But the one and the main difference between fixed positioning and absolute positioning, and it's actually the only difference, is whenever you scroll your screen, if you have an element that's absolutely position and you scroll your screen down, that element is, gonna do what you expect it to do and scroll off the screen. But with fixed positioning, that element stays in the same place on your website and it doesn't move, so it can scroll over other text, or it's just gonna stay there, and no matter how hard or how fast you scroll, it's not gonna move. So this is kind of a weird type of positioning, but and by the way, I just want to mention this. This is the most uncommon type of positioning. Hardly anyone ever uses this. I never used it when I built a website. But I have to tell you guys about it because I just can't, skip over a topic. So let's go ahead and make a bunch of paragraphs. So paragraph and ending paragraph, and let's just write, I am the Sandman, let me in. Easy, Metallica, something like that. It actually says I'm the Sandman, let me in. So let's go ahead and paste this a couple times, and let's just go ahead, copy this, paste that, and hey, why not a couple more? So now just go ahead, and why am I doing this? Well, I just want to have a website where we can actually scroll down. So now you can see we have some stuff to scroll, and it's not just, one paragraph or something. So actually, let's go ahead and change up this first paragraph and make it something with the ID. Let's name this ID Tuna, and in the paragraph we'll just write like Tuna McTuna Man. McTuna. They should definitely make a McDonald's sandwich called McTuna. I wouldn't eat it. Sounds disgusting.